right?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
And so my question is that you have mentioned, but not limited to scope, quality, schedule, budget, resource, risk, etc., right?
Right.
So my question is, there will be a deviation, in the things we do, right, in a project.
Mm-hmm.
For example, we have a adherence time, line in our project plan. We have a scheduled start date. We have a, scheduled end date, and that's how we track the project, right?
Right.
So we may have deviation in those. You know what I mean?
Right.
So who is actual, it may be of different reasons, the deviations may happen of different reasons. So how a project manager can help, a technical guy or people who are working in these kind of situations?
Okay. Sai, I will suggest you one thing. This is the clarification. This is the thing which will actually get unfold in this whole workshop actually.
Oh yeah.
So what I suggest you hold on this question. I think by the end of this workshop, I think you will get the answer of this question. And if it is not, we will take up this question at the end of the workshop, because by that time there is a lot of knowledge which will come to you, which will help in understanding this actually.
Okay. Got you. I thought that I'm stepping inside the gun, so yeah, thanks for that.
Okay.
So that came into my mind when I was reading that, so that's the reason I asked.
No, absolutely good. Actually, that's give a lot of satisfaction to me, because you have gone through these slides. That's given me a proof actually that you have gone through these slides. Okay, so that's great actually. Thank you very much for your asking this question, and I'm sure that you will get the answer of this question before this workshop gets closed.
Okay, yeah.
Okay, so good evening, good afternoon, and good morning to all the people. I think we have more or less all the people joined here, except one or two.
Good afternoon to you too.
Yeah, good afternoon. Yes. Okay, so let's start for today. You have any question? Anybody has any question? Like I already started before time, so it's fine. If anybody has any question, we will start from there and then we will go to the presentation.
Hello, Vivek. Good evening. Yeah, basically I have one, probably could be a very basic question. I was just going through the slides, trying to, realize what being discussed yesterday. And I was just trying to draw a line, between a difference between a project manager and a technical manager.
Mm-hmm.
Like when we were talking about a project management as such, we were trying to distinguish that the project-related activities falls under the project management, and the technical stuff is quite different from the project management what we do. So if we are in that lines, how do we define a technical manager? Like, what would be his role? Does he have any management stuff in it, or it's pure technical stuff that he's going to do?
Okay, I think it's a wonderful question, because this floats around. These, see, Rajesh, these are the terminology which are floating around, and these terminologies have little meaning in themselves. These terms do not have actually much meaning in themselves. So we say technical manager. Technical manager could be anyone as such. It could be a project manager. A project manager is being told with multiple designations in different places. Now, there are a lot of confusion also around that. Particularly, over optimization is one of the things which is driving these kind of designations or terms. Especially in the senior management in the organizations, where they expect that the person in the project not only doing the project management, but is also doing the technical work as such. So they, instead of telling project manager, they say it's a technical project manager. Person has technical skills as well as project management skills. Okay.
No, but what I would say, sorry to interrupt. But what I would see is, like, in an organization you would find two defined roles, like, project manager and technical manager. It's not like, you just have a project technical manager, right?
Yeah.
So that's kind of, confusion in what I was just trying to know.
Yeah, I'm telling that's the reason. The reason which is why these terms are coming up, because people want one person to play two roles. So there are technical managers, there are business manager, there are project manager, there are techno project manager. There are so many terms around. You will go in different organization, you will find different terms actually for the project manager, or for even for a senior manager than the project manager. The point here is that the people expect that the project manager or the whomsoever we have designated as project manager do more than project management. That the single person will do technical work or the business analysis work plus the project management work as well. And therefore such designations come. But these designations lose the meaning when you are in the project and when your role is defined, because every project is defining the role of the project manager very differently. Now, most of the terms are actually useless because, in my opinion, a person cannot play two roles. I am very against of this kind of thing. I say it is an incorrect thing for expecting a project manager to do the technical work as well. Though a lot of people are expecting like that, especially when there is a recession. Yeah. We try to optimize resources. We say, okay, architecture or project management will be done by ABC person. And in fact, that person actually struggles. It is not able to concentrate on either of the part. There are supermans in all the industries. So we also have supermans in IT and other sectors. So some people are able to do it, but finding such people are rare. Most of the people are struggling in these two roles.
Right. I mean, if we talk about in my case, as I mentioned earlier, yesterday, on a day-to-day activity, I would spend around 40% of my time in the project management and the 70 on the technical stuff, the core technical stuff. So, as you said, it is not so easy to concentrate on either of these fields, project management and the execution part, concentrating on the technical core technical activities. So
very difficult.
But if you look at the current industry demands and the kind of the expectations and the kind of the improvement in terms of performances, people do expect to play a bigger role of project manager and being still in the execution part, controlling the technical activity that is going on in the execution and managing it as well.
Yeah, that's a dilemma actually, and many people are in such kind of roles, and and I have seen people are struggling in these kind of roles. In my opinion, you have to take a call and see that what you are good in, and search a role, search a position, search a place where you can get that role which you want to do. You are inclined to project management, I think you search a position, search a place in the organization, out of the organization, irrespective. I don't think you have to sketch any boundaries around you to find a right position for you, which you want to do. People either are interested in management or interested in technical stuff. They are very difficult to have, because I did a webinar some time back on the same stuff, that when a technical person move into a project management, what kind of challenges he faces and how he has to change his perspective, how he has to change his viewpoint to be more effective in the project manager roles, because project manager's roles expectations are very, very different than the technical person's expectations.
Right. Okay.
And most of the people are not understanding this, because there is no training on this ground actually. Moreover, senior management expect the person will be doing both the things, and the person is more inclined to management, his technical stuff suffers. More inclined to technical, his project management suffers.
Right.
So many people are in this kind of a struggle. I will say it's the individual's choice. You take your choice where you want to go, and you find a right position for you.
See, being
That's
an
the best
aspiring being an aspiring, I'm sorry, I'm not taking much of time. If that is the case, we can talk. I just have an asking to, discuss.
Say it again, please.
Yeah, if I'm taking more time, probably you can stop me. I just
Yeah,
have
yeah,
a
sure.
question to talk about.
Sure. I think these are the
Alright.
common question. It's absolutely fine. If there is a question which I will say we can answer later, I will definitely let you know about that. Then we will say, okay, we'll answer this later.
Alright, great. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. Being an aspiring project manager, I would like to understand one other aspect of it. Like, basically, if I want to go from my core technical stuff, like 70% of the technical stuff, I want to, move it back to project management, like, complete 100%.
Yeah. So Rajesh, what will I do? Sorry to interrupt you, but what will I do if the time permits on any day? I will walk you through that webinar once again. Like I will take up that presentation once again and walk you through that. What is the challenge in these roles, and how when you move from one role to another role, how you have to change your perspective and the view. So it is a little more deeper question than can be answered in 1 or 2 minutes. I can give some guidelines, but it is a little more, we need to get into more depth and to really understand the challenge in this.
Yeah, probably we can take it up later. Thanks, Vivek.
Yeah. Okay, so let's get started. So let me. This is where we started yesterday, that what is a project. So a temporary endeavor, definite start, definite end, unique output. It could be a product, service, or result. It could be tangible, intangible. Project management, we discuss about it. We say doing the real stuff is the technical work, and what to be done, how to be done, when to be done, who will do. This is what project management is all about. Okay, we'll discuss about this. In fact, we will be elaborating on these things mainly.
Vivek?
Yeah.
Yeah, I have a question just to before you go into details of the discussion. So, how different is a support project when you? Should we call a support as a project, or it's not a project at all?
Okay, you say it is an operation or it is a project. Is this what you're saying?
Yes. So because a lot of the time people are talking about, they say like they are doing some support projects, or they are planning to do some kind of support for the organization. So does that come under a project, or can we call it a project, or we should not be calling that?
Basically, support is an operation. Support is an operation, but as I normally discuss, that operation can be projectized. So project we normally tell because this is what the terminology normally used in IT sector. Anything. Okay, I think Hishikesh has just joined. Hishikesh, can you mute yourself? So the operation can also be. I think Hishikesh has to mute himself. Okay. So operations can also be projectized. Support is a project. It is an operation. It is called project because that's the terminology not normally being used in IT sector. So IT sector, anything which is going on is actually a project. Whatever is coming from the customer is called as project. So it doesn't mean that it falls into project category, but it is considered as a task as such, or it's a work. So works synonym is project in IT. So everything is called as project. But that doesn't mean that it is a project. It is, from the category point of view, it falls into operation.
Okay.
Okay, but we will discuss that how the operation can be projectized. Okay, so let's move on this. So we talk about project, portfolio and programs, and we discuss about that portfolios are driven by the organization's objective, while the portfolio is made. Portfolio is a collection of projects and programs. Could be only project, could be only program, could be a mix of project and program, but the idea behind portfolio is meeting an organization objective. While the program is also a collection of programs, so a collection of projects, but there the aim is to bring projects together which have something in common, and managing them together is more effective than managing them separately. So the both are collection of projects, but the reason are different. Okay, and then we talk about that what can trigger a project. So there are various reasons for which the project can trigger off. Normally we call them as business case. Okay, this is the reason why the project is carried out. And then we talk about project management office, and project management is typically is a support function for the project, and as a full-fledged PMO normally support project in all terms. It give it guidelines, templates, help project manager to plan, manage the common resources, shared resources, help project manager to monitor, escalate the matter if they feel that the project is not going into the right track and it is it need attention from the other senior people, provide special support in case any project requires, help project to kick off faster. So all these things are the functions of PMO, but based on the organization to organization, the PMO has been defined differently, and we should not get confused with this. I think the PMO is a term which is defined very, very differently in different organizations. Many places PMO is merely managing the shared resources, and many places project PMO is doing almost everything day and night, sitting along with the project manager. But main responsibilities of the PMOs normally are this: managing shared resources, helping project manager to provide methodologies, practice standard, templates, etc., helping in monitoring, preparing policies, procedures, and coordinating the communication and managing the shared resources. Right? We talk about operations, that operations are ongoing and they do not produce something unique, while the projects produce something unique and they are not ongoing, they are temporary. Okay, we talk about organization influence, where we stopped yesterday, and we're going to talk about this today, that in the organizations of multiple type, on two extreme, I can say there are functional organizations, there are projectized organizations. So what are the projectized organizations? Projectized organizations are the normally typical IT companies are projectized organizations, but they are not fully projectized. They are basically strong matrix or balanced matrix. Now, if you really want to see a projectized organization, look at a startup, IT startup, or look at the very small IT companies which survives on projects where there is no support function. The people are there. If a project comes, they come together, do the project. If project is not there, they sit on the bench. Even sitting on the bench is a little difficult in the small IT companies. So most of the time, everything is running on the projects. There is nothing else in the organization except the projects. And those are the organizations which are absolutely projectized. On the other side, the functional organization, a typical company in the functional organizations are the pharmaceutical companies, where the whole focus is on technology and getting the patent on the new technologies. So in a pharmaceutical company, you know who is hero? The person who has most patent in his name. That person is actually the hero. So the whole idea is there are different function in such companies. Every function is stick to their own function. They recruit people in that function, and those people for lifelong remain in the same function. And sometimes they move across the function, but when they cross the function, they become part of the other function. Normally interfunctional communications happen less. So more focus on technology, more focus on the function of the organization. If organization work in 3 areas, then there are 3 separate groups, and they work in their separate groups. Projectize, there is not in absolute projectize. There is nothing related to the technology. Not related. Even the technology company, IT companies are normally technology companies, but people do not remain in a technological horizontals kind of thing. People stay in a common pool. When the project comes, irrespective of which technology is, people come into this project. If they need to be groomed into new technology, they are groomed and put into the project. Once the project is complete, they go back to the bench. Just people will be managing them. Nobody will be taking care of their skill development, because nobody knows in what skill to be developed, these people. Because what new project will come, it all depends upon that. So based on this, there are weak matrix, there are balanced matrix, there are strong matrix. So when the flavor of the projectize is more, it is a strong matrix. When it is an equal thing, it's a balanced matrix. When the flavor of the functionality is more, then it is a weak matrix. So most of the IT companies, medium-sized IT companies, are a strong matrix. So what is a strong matrix? You have in these organizations, you have verticals and horizontals. So mainly the groups which are taking projects, and mainly there are some other groups also who are managing only technology or managing a specific function. For example, in many IT companies, you will find there is a separate group for user interface, usability, normal user experience, usability, user interface. Many terminologies are there, but there is a specific group. When it comes to user interface, the people are managed in that particular group. This is actually a function. So when a functionality start coming up, then the projectized organization move into a strong matrix. So if you have 2-3 functions, like testing is a different function, the usability is a different function. When the organization grows, you will see that projectized organization move to the balanced matrix. So if you talk about very big organization like IBM or the HP and the Infosys kind of organization, there are both sides, the vertical and the horizontal, both are very strong. So verticals are normally taking the projects in a specific business verticals, and they take the resources from different horizontals. So if a project is taken in an IT companies, that is which requires some UI expert, which requires some Java expert, which requires some .NET expert, requires some Oracle experts, and requires some testing people. So this particular vertical, if the vertical is telecom, this telecom vertical will, the person, project manager, may be assigned by that telecom business vertical, but he will accumulate the resources from usability group, from the Java group, from .NET group, from testing group. They all come together in this project. They execute the project, and they will go back to their own functions. Many places, when the functions are not there, they go in a common pool. So normally we say that resources do not have home in a projectized organization. So in a projectized organization, there is no home. In a functional organization, all are in their home only, because they do not come together to form a thing which is cross-functional. So we look into this, that what is the project manager's authority. So in a functional organization, there is hardly any project manager. Even if there is a project manager, it is called project coordinator. So there are very few things which require cross-functional collaboration. In such cases, one of the functional manager play as a role of project coordinator, and then that person actually coordinate among the but he has little authority. That person has little authority on the other people because the resources belong to their own function, and they report to their own managers. They don't report to this project manager or project coordinator. Project coordinator's job is to coordinate the work or collaborate among these functions. So his authority is very, very low. In a weak matrix where there are some projects keep happening, there it is still the project manager is a project coordinator, his authority is limited. In a balanced matrix or a strong matrix, the actually authority started coming to the project manager, where in the strong matrix and projectized organization, the project manager have complete authority on the resources. In a balanced matrix, he may have or he may not have. But in a weak or functional matrix, he is mainly a project coordinator, not a project manager. Now, when we talk about resource availability to the projects, people will face challenges in the functional organization. I'm talking about resource availability for the project. So if there is a project which requires team resources from different functions, there is a lot of challenges there. The resources may still belong to their function. They may contribute to project, but they continue belonging to their function. They will be more loyal to their functional manager than the project manager, who is normally a project coordinator. When it comes to challenge between the functional work and the project work, they may prefer the functional work because that is actually help them to grow into the organization. The same thing. So for resource availability in the project organization for the project is high, while the functional organization it is low. Who control the project budget? In the functional organization, functional manager, because he is the king, and the project organization, the project manager is the king, so he controls it. In a balanced matrix, it could be both, and it could be a challenge also. When there are more than two people managing the budget or resources or something like that, then you can understand that what kind of challenges would be there. Project manager's role here is part-time, mainly a project coordinator. In balanced matrix to the projectize, it is a full-time job. The administrative staff will be part-time. The administrative, which is normally we say the staff which will help project manager. So a PMO can dedicate a person for a particular project. So in project organization, it could be like that, while in the functional organization, it will be only a part-time. Now, let's come to the communication, which is normally not standard in the PM book. You will find I have added this because this creates a lot of issues there. In a functional organization, because its organization is very much structured in a functional way, it is streamlined because it happens within the function most of the time. In a projectized organization, it is very stream because everyone is loyal to the project only, and everything happens as per the project manager's control. But it becomes complex when it is a weak matrix, when a flavor of other type of organization coming into this, and then it creates problem. In the balanced matrix, it is very, very complex. If I say that companies like IBM, companies like HP, the Infosys, Wipro, these are the companies which are moving almost toward the balanced matrix, and the communication is very, very complex in such an organization, and the stakes of the horizontal and verticals, even up to that degree that you fight with each other, and there will be too many stakeholders in a project. Sometimes people say there are more managers in the organization, in the project, than actually the basic resources who will go in, technical resources who are going to do the job. The more controller than workers. Okay, so that is how, because this is up to a greater degree, it influences how the project will be executed in an organization. Now there are two terms which will keep coming up throughout the course. One is organization process assets, and other will be the enterprise environmental factor. Let me tell you what these are. The organization process assets are, as you might have seen around you, you will be provided some templates by the organization. Those are process assets. You have some guidelines, you have some policies, you have a way to do methodology, and they are being given by either a quality department, PMO, or there is some common some group in the organization who provide these kind of things to you. These are facilitated as well as constrained. So basically they facilitate the project, like they will provide you template. It's become easier for you to fill up the template and prepare a plan or similar kind of things. They will give you guidelines which you follow and do the job. You will provide the standards, so you do not deviate from the standards, stay with this. But on the other side, they also become constrained, because if you want to deviate from those templates, guidelines, or standards, you will face resistance, because people will not allow you to do that. And you need to really justify why you want to deviate from the organization processes provided to you. So the knowledge base normally contains a lot of information. They are all part of the process asset. So if the project is done, we do a lesson learned and document a lesson learned. That will become part of the process asset. The project records become part of the project process assets. So if you want to refer previous projects data, then you need to look at the corporate knowledge base, which is a part of the organization process assets. Okay, so Ashwini has a question. What is the difference between project expediter and project coordinator in terms of role and responsibility? I think more or less they are same. Expediter could be basically a coordinator only, which is normally available in weak organization or the weak matrix or the functional organization, who try to collaborate among the functions to expedite the pace of the project. I don't think there is a major difference in any.
Yeah, Vivek, but expeditor can take decision. Can he take decision?
See, decision, I tell you, the decision in functional or weak matrix organization is mainly a collaborative, because the project manager does not have authority. The project expediter also or coordinator do not have that much authority. They have to collaborate with others to get the really make a decision as such.
Okay. Okay, that answers.
But both role are more or less same.
Okay.
None, both of them have less. The authority lies with the project manager at the end of the day. In a functional organization, it is with the functional manager.
Okay.
A functional manager can play a role of project coordinator or the project expediter.
Okay.
Okay. Then we have enterprise environmental factor. Enterprise environmental factor actually is an environment around you. That environment includes the environment of the organization. It may include the environment of the city, of the state, of the country, the rules, regulation, policies of the things which are outside of organization, maybe the government policies, government's rules and regulation, law in that country, industry standards which are coming outside of the organization, that is the industry standard, which may be adopted by the company. The infrastructure support to you available, the enterprise project management tool is a tool basically. It's not it falls into enterprise environmental factor, not in the process asset, because it's not a paper, it's not something which you can fill or which you can use to plan out or some kind of things, but it facilitates you to do the project management better. So any kind of such tools are actually part of the environmental factors. So stakeholder risk tolerance, etc. These are documented information available to you. That is a part of the environmental factors. So risk tolerance actually guide you that what kind of risk you can take on the project. That you need to actually analyze with talking to the stakeholder, or some information already available with you. A political climate. So if it is a small organization, political climate will be good. If it is a big organization, you can see challenges on that side, and you need to manage that also. And a lot of energies goes actually in managing those political things. So in the environment, basically enterprise environmental factors become constraint for the project. Sometimes they are facilitator because they help project to expedite and help project managers to do the things. But on the other side, they also pose a lot of constraint. Okay, so it is the environment. It is not something like template guidelines or something which you can use as a document. So most of the time, process assets are document or the information documented somewhere, and the entire enterprise environment factors are basically are non-documented, but the environment around. So if I say process assets normally facilitate you but become constraint, enterprise environment will normally pose a lot of constraint but also facilitate you. Now look at the project stakeholders. So this is not an exhaustive list. These are just part of the normally easily identifiable stakeholders in a project. These are normally you can find around you, but stakeholders can go beyond this. So what is a who is a stakeholder? A stakeholder is a person who either has to contribute or has some takeaway from the project. He can either influence the project or get influenced by the project outcome. So anyone who is directly or indirectly connected with the project can influence the project or get influenced by the project, can benefit the project, can be benefited by the project, can impact the project, can be impacted by the project, is a stakeholder. And different people have different expectations from the project, and they have different things to contribute. And their expectations many times are not clearly visible or not clearly stated. You know, there is something called hidden agenda. So most of the stakeholders do have a hidden agenda. Project manager's challenge is to identify that hidden agenda and satisfy that. Most of the people will not talk about it. That is why it is called hidden agenda. Now, let me also tell, for a good project management skills, that hidden agendas are not as bad as they appear. In fact, everybody in this world has some hidden agenda. That means he has an agenda, but he does not have the environment to speak out. He does not have the place where he feels comfortable in telling about that agenda. But he cannot like sacrifice that agenda. He cannot give up this agenda. So the challenge for the project manager for the success of the project, it's very important that he reads between the line. So there will be lines which are stated. There will be lines which will be in that, but will never be stated. The project manager challenge is to identify those things, document them, do a good analysis of that, and see that during the project how those things can be satisfied. So what are clearly visible, clearly stated, they need to be satisfied. But beyond that, you need to satisfy the things which are not so easily stated. Therefore, I say there are two types of criteria in project success. There is a specified criteria, there is a technical criteria which is stated, acceptance criteria, there are expectations, there are requirements which are told, and there is another criteria which I normally say in happiness criteria. So happiness index, I say, so happy to address the happiness index, we need to identify the stakeholders' real need, which many times may not be clearly stated. And if we meet them, you may delight the customer, you may delight the stakeholders. If we have failed to address them, you can say that I have addressed all the things what were told to me, but customer may still not be happy, or the stakeholder may still not be happy. And therefore it is a say that if you can deliver everything to the customer what he stated, he may still not be happy. You may deliver less than what you committed to the customer may still be happy. So happiness and what you deliver are not so closely related as such. They may be, they are coupled, but they are loosely coupled. The main problem is that in the stakeholder management, that we fail to identify the very critical stakeholders, and those people normally appear all of a sudden in the project and impact greatly. Most of the projects which I have seen closed midway, they are closed by the person who was never identified as a stakeholder in the project. So all of a sudden this person appears and say this project is not meeting any important thing in our organization. Let's put this project on the rest. There is a project governance. It's basically a controlling group which work at a more higher level. I think most of the people will understand that a governance is in a higher level things where it provide a guidance.
Vivek.
Yeah.
Vivek, your voice is breaking.
Okay. Let me
your voice
slow
is
down.
not clear. Yeah.
Okay. Hold it.
Yeah.
Okay. Let me slow down, I think. So project governance, it is coming better now?
Yes.
Okay. So project governance is something which is at a higher level, provide guidance and help projects in meeting some challenges, handle escalations, see that if the project is going into the right direction, give the direction, and also check that is going into the right direction. May help in taking some critical decisions. Maybe sometimes if the project governance is normally to have a control on the project at a higher level and see that project objectives or the project goals are being met by the project or not. So basically looking directly at the goal of the project and then providing the guidance and interfering as and when required. Okay, the project team includes, a project team could be anything. Whomsoever is contributing to the project is a project team. It does not matter that it could be, it is not necessarily be your direct report of the project manager. Now in the project life cycle, if we look at the project life cycle, many times you will find that the matter here is a little discrete because it's a project management framework. What we are talking about is surroundings of the project or setting a context of the project. So we're mainly talking about some terminology, something which is normally used in project management. And so basically like putting up a canvas where we can sketch project management. Okay, there is a question. Say, is this function project governance within the project or within a program? Now, program governance can also be a set. Project governance means it is a mean for the project. At a program level also there could be a governance, and that will be called program governance. And that governance may involve people, may involve stakeholders which may not be day-to-day interacting in the project. There may be part of some stakeholders who are only coming during the project governance meeting only. It could include include customer, can include senior managers, and they may not be like day-to-day involved in the project activities. Okay, so in a project life cycle, normally goes like that, and that is at the initiation. What this line is showing is actually the staffing level or the cost also. So staffing level, when we talk about it, more the staffing level, more the cost of the project, more the work involved during that time. So initiation, there is a little work involved, mainly the project manager and some senior manager or some few resources come on board and they initiate the project. The main outcome of the initiation is a project charter, that what need to be done on this project, providing a guideline. Then what written in the project charter is detailed out during the project planning. The main outcome of the project planning phase is the project plan, which will guide the execution of the project. So the staffing level increases, cost increases, more people come into the project, which help in planning and also start doing some kind of execution. Now, once the plan is ready, you move into execution, and in most of your resources you hire on the project, or you onboard on the projects, get deployed during execution. Most of mainly the product of the project is normally produced during this time. Most of your project efforts are consumed during execution, and then it moved to the closure when most of the deliverables are completed, and when we come to take the acceptance from the client or the user on the deliverables which are produced by the project. During this time, you will see that in the initiation phase to the closure phase, when we move, the stakeholder influence is high in the beginning and slowly goes down, and at the end the stakeholder influence is very low. One reason could be the cost of change. As you move into the project, you produce more and more deliverables, you develop product, the cost of the change increases, and because cost of the change increases, it is unlikely that stakeholders will influence is great. It limits the influence of the stakeholders. Similarly, the uncertainty is very high in the beginning because the information which is available is very low in the beginning. As we move into the project, it is progressively elaborated. More and more information come into the project, uncertainty goes down. When you plan the project, the planning itself is a significant contributor in bringing down the project uncertainty. And when some part of the planning is executed, I think the uncertainty come down significantly. If I say a project manager is basically an uncertainty manager, it will not be wrong. In fact, if project does not have uncertainty, there is no project manager required. Project manager is only required because every project has some degree of uncertainty. In fact, more the uncertainty is, more the project management effort will be in the project. So if you might have seen that if some project is going on for a couple of years, you will see the project management efforts would have come significantly low comparing to what was there in the initial time. Okay, there is a question here that who would be the stakeholder at the stage of project initiation and planning? We will talk about in stakeholder management. there will be many, there could be many as such, and there is a whole chapter on stakeholder management, and we will discover that what are the stakeholders at what level. Many times stakeholders may not change in the when the phase changes as such. Could be customer, project manager, etc. for both initiating planning. More than that, the customer side, we can't say customer only. We have to see that customer's project manager, customer architect, customer senior managers. We need to identify the stakeholders like that. Customer is basically an umbrella term. Okay. So when we move in a project life cycle, when we move from initiation to the closure, the PMI has put process groups as per the project life cycle, that when we have initiating processes, then we move into planning, then they define some planning processes. During planning, what are the processes we should follow? Then we move into execution. Execution is nothing but executing the plan, not anything which is not in the plan. So if something is not in the plan, that is not supposed to be executed. Now that could be rare. If you see most of the project, the plan is there, but many other things also be getting executed. And if that is the case, we are just inviting some chaos at a later date. Because more and more we do execute, which is not in the plan, more it becomes difficult to compare plan versus actual, and more it will complicate the monitoring and controlling process. So if you have something you discovered during the execution which is not there in the plan, add this into the plan and then execute. I will normally suggest that we should learn from the accounting practices, that in the accounting practices where the money is managed, the rule is that first write and then transact. The same thing is here. First put this into the plan and then execute. If you are as strict as your account department, I think all of you might have interacted with account department who may be paying for your travel expenses, etc. And you will be seeing that how meticulously they will check your things and see that everything is documented, and only then they will reimburse you or they will pay you. Even the project, if you need some funding for the project, they will see that each and every document they expect you have provided, only then they will release the funding. So the kind of discipline accounting maintain, we need to maintain that kind of discipline here. Yeah.
Vivek, I have a question. Like you're saying, at the time of execution, we have few things that were not planned earlier and got added maybe because of customer request or anything. Let's say scope. One thing is scope. Scope is not phased yet. So do you mean to say that until the execution process is completed, the planning is never freezed?
No, it's not like that. It's an iterative thing actually. First we plan, we execute, then we come to the controlling part, and monitoring part. Monitoring is basically checking actual versus plan and seeing if there is deviation. If there is a deviation, we do a controlling, that is taking action to reduce that or eliminating that deviation. So basically changing the plan. So taking action and change the plan and then again execute it, again monitor it, again take action if there is a deviation, and this is a repeated cycle. So once you have, your plan is continuously refining. See, if you see any project, you hardly would have seen any project which is going exactly as per the plan you have prepared in the initial stage. It is not related to, this planning is not related to your scope freeze. Scope is frozen, scope is still or there is some scope creep, etc. It is irrespective of that. You need to plan before execution, before execute anything. If you are in requirement, your first phase is requirement. You plan for the requirement and then execute the requirement actually. Then you start collecting the requirement. So You see what is written here, it is a single
Right.
phase
So
project. Yeah, go ahead.
Let's say now this is an agile time, so wherever you take it, the projects run along with the agile practices. So in that case, as per your statement, planning and execution go hand by hand, right?
And this will always be the case, right?
Okay. I'm trying to understand.
No, I think this will further unfold that what I really mean actually by that. Planning and execution doesn't mean that first you have plan. There is a program. There are a lot of things which will get unfold, and I think you will understand better as we move ahead. This is the first slide which we are talking about these processes. We are going to unfold these processes and the processes in these process groups.
Okay. Yeah. Thanks.
Yeah. So this is one phase project, that is a single phase project where there is only one phase. But now we talk about, normally the projects are not one phase project, there are multi-phase projects. So what is a phase? Phase is like a requirement. Then we have a design phase. Then we have a construction phase. Then we have a verification or testing phase. We have a transition phase, or we say the execution or delivery phase, you can say, or implementation phase. Now, when we talk about these 5 processes like initiation, planning, execution, monitoring, control, and closure, this applies to every phase. So in the requirement, you need to initiate the requirement, you need to plan the requirement, then you start collecting the requirement, that is an execution. Then you see that whatever the plan you made for requirement, are you collecting the requirement as per that plan? If not, what are the deviations, how you can bring it back onto the track? And then is the closing. So what is the closing and initiating here? Initiating means you should have an entry criteria for moving into the requirement phase, and closing means you should have an exit criteria for moving out of the requirement phase. That means this closing criteria must satisfy this entry criteria. And that is what exactly happened here, which we call phase exit, phase gates, decision gates, stage gates, kill points. There are several terminology, several like terms for the same thing, which is checking that are we meeting the entry criteria of the next phase? Do we have the entry criteria for the next phase, which is normally produced by the previous phase? And that is what the closing process in the previous phase is. So you have some initiating when you start the project, when you start the requirement, you should have some entry criteria. Until unless A, B, C or the stakeholders A, B, C are not available, we will not start the project requirements. Once that is met, you set some kind of objective for the requirement, that what exactly outcome of this requirement phase. And then you plan according to this, execute those requirement collection, keep monitoring during that time, and ensure that you are meeting the exit criteria, which a portion of this exit criteria or fully may meet the entry criteria of the next phase. Now many times they are discrete sequential phases, but most of the time the phases are overlapping. That means before the requirements ends, you actually already started design. Right? This is a common practice. We start the design even before we close the requirement formally. So requirement document is not signed off completely, but we have started some activities on the design phase. Similarly, design document has not been approved as of now, but we start doing some kind of construction. Maybe by this time, from here to here, we have produced something which may not be changing even if the design requires some kind of changes, or we get some kind of review comments from the design approver. But there is a risk involved. They may give you some changes which may where it may change something on on which we have produced this construction, it will generate some kind of rework. So there is a risk involved in the overlapping phases. So you have to take a calculated risk and see how much it is safe to start the new phase before the previous phase actually closes. But your these criteria have to be met. You cannot say that these criteria are not meeting. So you cannot start this initiation until unless there is some produce here which is meeting the entry criteria of the design. Okay, so there is a question: can a building be constructed, quoted as an example of sequential phase? No, they are not sequential even the building. You see that the first they take the approval from the authority on the architecture, but you will see architecture is like basically a design for the building, and you cannot construct a building until unless you have an approval on the architecture. But you will see that that builder will start mobilizing thing on the construction side even before the architecture is approved, because he is very confident that he is meeting all the criteria which are laid down by the municipality or the authority. So I will definitely get the approval on this, or even if there are changes, at least whatever things I am mobilizing in the construction area, bringing the tools, hiring the people, doing some kind of excavation which may not be important with the related with the architecture. Excavation anyway required. Yes, approval will be part of the requirement. So approval means this closing will happen only once you get the approval. So you have to define that when you will close the requirement. When you say closing requirement will happen on the approval, then once the approval is met, you can close the phase. So that has to be defined, that what is your exit criteria. So exit criteria could be an approval. Here also exit criteria could be an approval of the design, or there could be some inspection like construction. You have to get an occupation certificate, right? So somebody will come and inspect the whole building which you have constructed. Then only you move into the actual occupancy of the building. So that need to be defined, and those things are actually called phase exit, phase gates, or decision gates. Right, so we are done with this first phase of this. Now I will move into the project management process I just talked about in the previous two slides. These project management process groups and knowledge areas are the basic building blocks of the PMI methodology or PMI standard documented in PMBOK. The PMBOK is total PMBOK is based on process group and knowledge areas. So what we are doing here, that in the initiation we are actually identifying the business case and the objective of the project. Then based on this information, actually in the initiation we prepare a project charter. Based on that charter we define our scope, timeline, costing, quality criteria, everything in the planning process. Based on this planning we do an execution, and then when we execute a portion of the planning, we see that if monitoring that if it is as per the plan or we are deviating from the plan. Then when we deviate from the plan, we need to take some action to bring the things back onto the track, or either eliminate the deviation or reduce the deviation at least. And that is called controlling part, which actually controlling means changing the plan, because I can change the plan based on what is my observation as of now, and then execute it again. Then execute the remaining parts. So maybe we may not be executing the same thing. We may be executing the things which are in sequence, but they will be modified with the experience we have as of now. And then once this is a cycle, this runs throughout the project life cycle, when all the deliverables are completed. Once all the deliverables are completed, then we go into the closer where we ask the customer to accept it, deliver it to the customer, document lesson learned, archive the projects, and transition the project to the either operations or maintenance or support. Support, maintenance is also a kind of support. So in case of building, it could be a maintenance. In case of software, it could be a support, or it could be an operation in case of manufacturing. So three things are important in the closing. One is archival of the project documents, documenting lesson learned, basically like consolidating the lesson learned throughout this life cycle. We document lesson learned. Every time there is a deviation, there is an opportunity to document lesson learned. We document lesson learned, and then here in the closer we consolidate them together, and then transition the project outcome to the next phase, which could be operation, which could be maintenance, which could be support. During this time, you will see that how these different processes interact with each other. Initiation start from here. As soon as the project starts, the controlling process also starts, and it goes till the end of the project. So this is end to end. Once initiation start, there is some kind of planning also starts, which goes here, and we continuously plan, and it comes to the end when we actually moving to the closer. Till that time, as we are saying, it is a cycle, right? So if you see during this time, it is all three processes are going on. That is what the cycle is. You need plan, execute, and control. So once we have planned something, we can start executing. Like I have planned the requirements. So I have planned the requirement, I start the executing the requirement collection, and then continue planning on the design and the construction phase. And in the construction, we may be having multiple iterations during this time. So I keep doing that till the time I planned almost all the things, and I am moving to the closer part as such, when I am actually have some deliverables which I have to go take to the project, to the customer, and ask them to accept it. So these are the interactions. This is a simple flow of the project as such. I think most of us, we know. During this time, from initiation to the closer, these are the various aspects, PMI says knowledge areas of the project which need to be taken care of by the project manager or the project management team. From initiation to the closer all the time. And these are the 10 bubbles here you are seeing. And 10 things you need to take care all the time, and that's what make project management a little complex area. Okay, there's some question here. Even after the client has accepted the delivery, can we call a project is closed without documenting and lesson learned? In fact, not. After project customer has accepted, we need to document lesson learned and formally close it. Means archive the project for the future use. Document it, lesson learned. We have to document lesson learned. Without documenting lesson learned, you cannot close the project. In practice we do, but that's not a good practice. Okay, so what is the scope? Scope is defining what to be done. What is time? When to be done? Cost and how much is to be done? Resources, who will do the job? This is what the project management. This is the core of the project management. And then things which are surrounding to that, communication. During this time when we are defining all these things and executing the project, we need to keep the stakeholders aware about what is happening on the project. We have to continuously show them that their expectations are being met, their things are being addressed, and involve them into the project. That is a stakeholder management. When we are talking about involving, analyzing, and see that how we can involve stakeholders in the project, how we can address. But the communication takes part, that play a role here. Then we talk about the quality of the project and quality of the product which is being produced. Procurement is normally a sub-project within the project where we outsource some of the things to the outside of the organization. So we want to procure some product, we want to procure some services outside of the project, then we go and procure those things into the project. That becomes a separate project where you are the client and you have some vendor who is servicing you. And one of the most important aspect, the risk management. Whenever the risk or uncertainties which you identify, some events which may impact the project, but you don't know how they're going to impact. So you actually guess, you try to find out that how they can impact, and then see their impact on scope, time, cost, and resources. Or if we have put up some plan, then we see that how we're going to communicate, how we're going to manage the stakeholders. These things can also be impacted. What is most important for the project manager is this. He may delegate this to the different team members, but what he cannot delegate is the integration. That means everything around in the project should happen in a synchronous manner. He has to see that all hands are going together. This part cannot be delegated. If this part is delegated, the project manager's role is delegated to the other person. Even if you are a project manager, but integration is being done by some other person, actually that person is a project manager. Who is designated does not matter. Now these processes and the knowledge areas cross each other and create a table like that. So horizontally you will see the knowledge areas, while the verticals are process groups. So it's the initiation, planning, execution, monitoring, control, and this. So for example, project integration contains 6 processes. Out of that, first is in initiation, second is in planning, third is in execution, 2 processes are in monitoring and control, and 1 position is in closing group. Similarly, if you say project scope management has again 6 processes, but 4 processes fall in planning and 2 processes fall in monitoring. So during execution, you are basically not guiding the scope, but you are controlling the scope. So during execution, if you see in the time management, you see this is mostly planning and control. Cost is mainly planning and control. Quality, the planning, execution, that is during the project execution. You ensure that the outcome should be of quality, that is assurance, and then you check that quality is really done or the quality work is done or not, that is control. And then the human resource management is mainly planning and execution. So that is why we say during execution, projects managers' primary responsibility or the most exhaustive responsibility of the project manager is managing people, motivating them, helping them, developing their skills, and ensuring that they are capable, their hurdles are removed, and they are motivated to do the task. Okay, and there's a question here. Is a project integration management different project from project manager? No, these are all part of the project management skills. Integration is also part of them. So actually integration is nothing but the consolidation of all the things around. So your project management plan, which is there, is the main guiding thing, which contains your scope management plan, time management plan, cost management plan, quality management plan, is a consolidated plan. That is the project management plan, which is actually a part of the integration management. So integration management, you are preparing a project plan which carries or which contains a scope management plan, cost management plan, the management plan for each and every, all 9 knowledge areas around. So integration management is basically a consolidation of all the processes around. So all the bubbles which I have showed you, they are all part of the project management skills. Okay. During the execution, communication plays a very significant role. In fact, PMI says, or which is right also, that project manager mainly communicate. 90% of the time, project manager is communicating to team, communicating with stakeholders, customer, team members, senior management, peers, functional managers, support functions. Basically, is communicating around, and that is what he end up doing most of the time. Okay, so we have like risk management, which is mainly planning and control. Procurement management goes from planning till closure. So in the closure, there are only two things. One is project closure and the procurement closure. And stakeholder management, which is, there are only two things in initiation. One is preparing project charter and second is identifying the stakeholders. So in initiation, two things are important. One is identifying what to be done, which is documented in project charter, and who are the stakeholders. So stakeholders are so important. And then see that how we're going to plan the stakeholders, then managing them during the execution and controlling their engagement. Okay, so let me take you through all the processes. As such, nothing, we will go with all these processes. In the initiation, there are mainly project charter and identify stakeholders, two processes. You see the project planning process is most exhaustive. In fact, this is right. Project manager's real skill is planning. If you have planned it well, then your efforts in execution and especially in monitoring control will drastically come down. And if you fail to plan, your efforts in execution and especially in monitoring control will drastically go up. So if you want to prevent yourself from chaos, if you want to control less, please better plan. And you say project management plan contains all these things around. So this is an integrated one document which contains all these things. Execution, it is mainly team management, guiding, monitoring and motivating team, communication, managing stakeholders, and if you have to procure something, conduct the procurement, awarding the contract to the vendors and taking their services and quality assurance. So there are few processes, but most of them are very exhaustive, especially this is very exhaustive. Monitoring and control processes, there are also some processes little more than execution, but less than planning. And the real stuff in this depend upon how good planning you have done. If you have done the good planning, the stuff is going to be here a little less, means you will do it quickly. If the planning is not good, every task here will take lot of time of yours. There is a one control process for each and every area as such, except the team management, human resource management. And then in the closing, basically there are two things: close the project and close the procurement. Close project is the last thing in the project. So close procurement happens before project closure. So if the procurement is not closed, project cannot be closed. This is a little introduction of the basic base of the project management body of knowledge, PMBOK, and then now we will look into each and every process group or every knowledge group and see that what are the processes and how they get, what are the details of this. We will move into details of each and every process. Any questions so far which you have not asked as of now?
Vivek?
Yeah.
I have a question like does planning phase require customer sign-off?
Not as such, it is not required. Planning is normally controlled by the vendor organization, and so sometimes many places say both will do planning. Uh, this is kind of contracts are being signed at multiple places, so it's not a good, but like customer wants it, so people go into that. In that case, yes, it's better to get the approval from the client when there is a joint management of the project. But ultimately, it is the vendor's project managers who is actually responsible for the success of the project. So there are some things which are specified, but there are some things which are not specified, but they are like that.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, but Vivek, I believe we may need to have a customer sign on every phase, project initiation, planning, and execution part.
Now, see, the thing is that it depends upon project to project, first of all, and you need to define that what requires customer's approval and what is not required customer approval. You need to be clearly define it. In fact, you should be clear with the customer also. Customer should be aware where he has to sign off, where he need not to sign off, or where his sign off is really required. Don't ask unnecessary sign off from the customer.
Why I asked this question is, as you said, just a second. So every stage has entry and exit criteria, as you mentioned.
Yeah.
So don't you think it is better to get the sign off at every stage? As you just now said that we need not ask everything to be signed off or accepted by the customer. Because it is vendor, it could be vendor specific sometimes and a project internal.
You see, we need to look into that. Okay, if we really required it. See, suppose I am the project manager and I am planning for the project. Okay. Now, on what basis customer will approve this? What customer has in this to approve? On what basis? What he will look into that? You say it's your project, you plan and execute. Why you want my approval on this? Correct. Why we need client's approval on requirement? Because we have collected it from them, documented by us. So we want to get approval from that. Have we understood the requirements clearly? That is why we ask customers approval. Can you please look at, because customer know what are the requirements, and then he read what we have written, and then says yes, you have whatever you written is what I need, and that is his approval. In the planning, he is not involved. He doesn't know what you are doing. He needs outcome of the project, right?
And how about the design frameworks and other technical stuffs? Do you think?
See, design in some cases, if customer knows, and then you get approval from the customer. But let decide with the customer. Customer is going to approve this or not? Or if is in many projects it is required, in many projects it is not required. Customer has no technical person on his side. He say, I have given the project, you design and develop. So in that case, he may not approve it because he say, I don't have the capability to approve it because I don't understand it. So in many cases it will be, in many cases it may not be. Yeah, he may like to review it. You say, you tell me how you're going to design. You at least explain me. He may not approve it.
In most of the cases what we observed is,
yeah, let me take up from the Rajesh and then we'll come back to you. Yeah, Rajesh.
Vivek, if you talk about starting the project initiation, do we assume that the project is being awarded for the organization, or are we still in the stage of trying to get a customer confirmation on the project? The reason why I'm asking this is the point why I was talking about customer, sign off on every stage is like, as an organization, if we start with a project initiation or planning, there will be good amount of resources being involved, and there's a good amount of investment being done on this project. So unless and until we have a customer sign on, we would not get any budget allocated to work on even on the project initiation part of it.
I got it.
Does this cycle start just after the project has been awarded, or there are certain scenarios where
I got it.
in my
no, I say I got your point. So normally project is initiated once the customer has told you to go ahead. In some cases, project may initiate even you might have not got go ahead from the project from the customers. I have myself managed, and I have seen many projects have been completed without an SOW, where the SOW was never signed, but customers given indent that okay, you go ahead, at least start the project. Meanwhile, we will sign the project. The project even completed, but there was no SOW signed. But fine, customer has given indent. You have based on that indent, you have started intent. You have started. The customer is also paying to you. So till the time things are working out well with the customer, it's fine.
Yeah, but there are scenarios where the customer has accepted, like he's going to go ahead with the project, and later point after a mock-up or kind of demo of the actual application, he might not be interested to proceed further. So in that scenario, there will be good amount of investment from the organization for coming up with the mock-up, initiating the project and then planning.
You have to take a call. Organization to take a call how much investment is worth doing it, because this is all pre-sales activities. Then until the time customer has given you go ahead, all activities are pre-sales activities called, because sale has not happened, and pre-sales are normally investment by the organization. You can decide at up to what level you will go.
Okay. So in that case, when you start this project initiation, it is not confirmed that the project has been awarded. It could be or it may not, right?
Initiation should happen when the customer is awarded.
Okay, and the project is awarded to the organization.
Yes.
Yeah, basically after signing the contract.
Yeah, after signing of the contract.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
In fact, vendor organization should insist on it. Okay. So on the second phase, I will just take you through the PMP certification exam. So we have gone through the framework, we have talked about various terminology and some basic stuff, which goes around project management, some terminology and the basic building blocks of the project management. Because most of the people are interested in PMP certificate exam, and many of you may not be aware about complete things about the PMP certificate exam. Let me take up next 15-20 minutes to explain you what PMP certification exam is all about. Okay, so what I'm going to cover in this is exam overview, tips for passing the PMP exam, PMIism, and the sustaining the PMP certification. Because certification is only for 3 years, you need to have 60. You need to earn 60 PDUs in 3 years to get it renewed. What is the eligibility criteria? There are two. One is for undergraduate, and the second is for the graduates. So I'm not talking about here. Okay, I will not talk about. Rishikesh, you have some to ask?
Pardon me?
You need to ask something?
No, I don't know what I'm saying.
Okay, just mute yourself then. Okay, thank you. Okay, so I will just talk about the first criteria, because I'm sure everybody has actually at least graduate here. So basically you need 3 years of non-overlapping project management experience. So I will explain you what is non-overlapping. So basically 3 years of project management experience, which is more or less 4,500 hours of project management hours of time you have invested in doing project management work. Now, it does not mean you have to be a project manager. You can be a team member, you can be a senior manager, you can be a programmer, you can be anyone, but you are doing project management related work which is described in PMBOK and which we have just understood. Okay, that we have understood some framework about the project management. Within that framework, if we are doing some activities, that can be counted for these 4,500 hours. Now, besides this, you must have a 35 hours of formal project management training. Okay, I will detail out further on these things. Experience should be in all 5 process group. However, no minimum is defined in any group. So even if you have 1 hour of experience in a group, it is fine. And this is not necessarily that every project you have to participate in all 5 groups from initiation to closure. In one project you have experience in initiation and planning, on other project you have planning and execution, in some project you have only experience in closure part, in some project you have experience on planning and execution, you have some participation in controlling activities. So all together, all your experience together, you should have experience in all 5 process groups, and no minimum is defined. So even if in closure you have 1 hour experience, that is sufficient. Now, all this criteria is experience or the training should be done within 8 years, last 8 years. Okay, Shrikant, no problem. Okay, the experience, your experience should be accrued within last, see, you may be having more experience, but PMI is looking only for last 8 years. Okay, the exam is of 4 hours. There are 200 multiple choice questions. Out of 200 questions, 25 questions are pre-release. Pre-release means these questions are on test. Beta testing, user testing on user testing. So you attempt them right or wrong, it does not matter to your score. It does not get scored. So if you have done all the 25 right, it will not affect your score. Or you have done all 25 wrong, it will not score. The problem is that you don't know which 25. So your scoring will happen from 175 questions and 106 should be right. And I think it is quite a big gap as such. 39% question you can do wrong. Still you will pass. So therefore I feel there is a good chance of passing. My opinion is that most of the people pass. Only those people do not pass who hurry up for the project, for the exam. Most of the failure I have seen when the PMBOK version is changing, because people rush for the exam without full preparation and they normally fail. And they are also okay to fail, because once they have failed in one version of the PMBOK, they have to give the exam in the same version of PMBOK. It's not a very good idea, but many people do so. So most of the failure cases are near to the time when the PMBOK version is changing. For you, because it's just last year the PMBOK version has changed, I think you can easily pass this exam. After this course, you set your target for 1 month, and if you can spend 2 hours a day on the study of this, I'm sure you will pass within 1 month. You need to invest 2 hours a day. I will give you a schedule also at the end of this workshop, that how you can prepare for the exam.
Vivek, just a small question.
Yeah.
How frequently can we expect a change in the PMBOK version? Like, just now you said, like, the last year PMBOK 5 has been released.
Yeah.
So how frequently we can expect there's a change?
Normally 3 to 4 years. So for 6th edition, the team is not yet assembled. So normally it takes 2 years for the team to complete all the formalities.
So we are in a good phase where we just started, once once
Yeah, but it does not
buffer
matter
has
much
been
as such.
released. Yeah.
Only a very small percentage of the things normally changes. In this, only stakeholder section has come new and some terminology change here and there. So it's hardly 10% change
Right.
as such. 90% is still same.
So it's basically an addition to the existing,
Yeah, 2000. Yeah,
PM
fifth
buffer. Okay.
edition.
Okay. Great. Thank you.
Yeah. Okay, there's a question. Yes, I had asked about Prince2. So is it in line with PMP? No, Prince2 and PMPs are different. Let me explain that. Prince2 in the overall project management domain, it is the PMI which actually most of the occupied almost 80% of the domain, and very next come to Prince2, and next there is another, I think, project management association is there, which also have a certification, which is has a layer of certification actually, that also prevail, but that is the smallest. Now Prince2 is normally useful in UK government related projects and other countries where these UK government's procedures are being followed. All other places I have seen, it is the PMI which is adopted. So if you are engaged with the project with the UK government, even in the UK, not all projects following the Prince2. Many projects follow PMP, but the UK government actually follows Prince2. So all the projects related to UK government are normally by default have to follow Prince2. So if your project, or there is a chance of that you getting into such kind of project, obviously you go for Prince2. So there are other countries also like South Africa, etc., where similar things are followed. Should I be taking the Prince2 certification instead of this? That depends upon that. If you are getting into some kind of project, you think that you will be moving into some kind of project, or you have such this project which is following which is part of the UK government, 90% chances it will be following the Prince2 methodology. No, curriculum, see, the knowledge is same. Curriculum is not same, but knowledge is same. Their structures are different. By studying PMP, you cannot give Prince2 exam. And normally, in my opinion, Prince2 exam is much simpler. It is like that. I think it's a 2 to 3 days training, and immediately after training, you can give the exam. And normally, people pass. In the PMP, you cannot do so actually. It will be a disaster. After taking the training, you have to really prepare for at least 15-20 days sincerely to give the exam. In the question in the Prince2 exam are very straightforward from the book, while the PMP exam questions are very situational in nature. Very situational in nature. So you suggest I appear for PMP? In my opinion, if you want to really become a project manager, real project manager, PMP is more beneficial than Prince2. But if your project follows UK government standards, you have to know about Prince2. Yeah, there are many people actually who are PMP and Prince2 both. Taking Prince2 certification is not as difficult as the PMP. PMP is a little more difficult, and it's much more difficult actually comparing to Prince2. Yeah, you will be working in UK, but as I said, not all the projects in UK following the Prince2. You need to check this out, where you are moving, in which project you are moving, are they following the Prince2? But there is a fair possibility in UK to follow Prince2. Project management knowledge is not different, but they are structured very differently in Prince2 and PMP. So Studying PMP, you cannot give Prince2 exam, because Prince2 exam is very much depend upon the curriculum they have set, because the questions are very straightforward from the book they have provided or the curriculum they provide. While in PMP, the guide is PMBOK, but questions are not straight from PMBOK, except the tools, the input output tools and techniques. Now you need to check actually where you are moving, and if those things are following Prince2, I think you need to do Prince2, because you need to understand that. But knowledge you will gain in PMP, it will not be useless actually. It will always be useful, because ultimately practical knowledge will not be very different. Projects have to be managed in a very similar manner, though the templates and procedures and guidelines you follow differently. Right? Okay, so in the exam, 13% questions come from initiation, 24% questions come from planning, 30% question come from execution. Therefore, people management become important, because the majority of the execution is people management, human resource management. 25% from the monitoring and control, and 8% from closing. Now, up to PMBOK 3rd edition, the professional responsibility questions were coming separately, were accounted separately, but they still come. They are still coming. They are not discounted, but they are mixed with these in this percentage. Even before, it was same thing. There was no difference. When the questions come, question is actually in the context of either of this, but actually they may be asking some ethical answer. So if there is asking, so we still maintain this separately, so that we can teach you separately that if such a question is asked, how you have to deal with. Professional and social responsibility is nothing but following the PMI code of conduct. And PMI code of conduct is not very special. It is a simple general expectation of any society from its member. So any society expect some kind of behavior from its member. PMI code of conduct is also same thing. There is not very different expectation there. Okay, the exam fee is $555. If you become member spending $148, your fee will reduce to $405, come out to be $553, more or less same. The only thing, become member and then apply, is that you will get this membership free. For 1 year membership will be free. So that's the advantage of becoming member and then applying. So we always advise become member and then apply.
Vivek, what's the advantage of being a member? I mean, what is the benefits? What do you get additional about it?
Okay, as you can go on PMI site, there is a membership, pmi.org, there is membership space. You can read all the benefits, but let me tell you the practical thing. There are a lot of things available on the PMI site, but hardly anybody uses it. You will get a PM network. You will get some other book. There is a e-learn on the PMI membership, where a lot of books are available. You can read those books online. You will not be able to download, but you can read them online. You will get a PMBOK free, but be a soft copy. Your name is written on every page. These are the benefits.
Okay.
Okay, you can take the training from Kishore is saying knowledge sharing webinar as well. I didn't get that. What is that? Okay, so training you can take from 6 different categories, the training provider should fall into one of these categories. Okay, why is very wide diversified. In Prince 2, you have to take the training from accredited training center only, but in PMI it is not the case. PMI does not like approve any training provider that these are the only people who can give you training. Though PMI registered some of the training provider, education provider, so they are called registered education provider. There is no approval process, though REP is an approval process. So you become REP only after PMI's approval, but REPs are not the sole like accredited service or education provider. So one, you can take training from the PMI component, the PMI chapters, or PMI, there are virtual groups also. SIG we normally say, special interest group. Special interest group are there. So these people also almost, I think, all PMI chapters, not all, but majority of the PMI chapters provide trainings. You can take trainings from them. You can take trainings from the registered education provider, that is the education provider which are registered with the PMI. You can take training from your employer, company in which you are working. If you are getting some project management training, you can accumulate hours there, 35 hours. From the training companies or the consultant. That is where we fall in. Okay, so we fall into this category. Distance learning companies, including an end of course assessment. So there are universities who provide some distance education in project management that can also account. University, college, academics, and continuing education programs. So university, college also have some, like in MBA. Suppose you have a project management as a subject. So the number of hours you have gone through this project management subject, you can consider these those hours, or you can count those hours for these 35 hours. But not the whole MBA. Only the project management subject. Only the time spent on project management subject. Only that thing. Okay. Now PMI has not specified any content for the training. So you need not to have the training only on PMWAC. You can have any project management training. Your organization is conducting training on general project management on their own methodology. That is also a training in project management, and you can count hours for those trainings. So there is no content provided. There is no content specified. Now, going through PMP prep training, the advantage is that you get prepared for the exam. These trainings will help you to prepare for the exam, while your company or other trainings on the project management may not help you to pass the PMP exam. That's the only difference. Otherwise, not necessarily you have to go under a training which is only on PMWAC. No, it is not. So there is a lot of confusion in the industry or in the people, that either I have to take training only from REPs or I have to take training only on PMWAC. So that is not the case. PMI is pretty open in this case, in these areas. No minimum or maximum duration recommended by PMI. A training could be as less as 1 hour, or it could be as big as 35 hours, or 1 week, or 2 weeks, whatever it is. But total become more than 35 or more than 35. You can accumulate these 35 hours of training by taking 10 trainings or 50 or 35 trainings. Nobody is stopping it. Now calculating your experience. Now I will explain you what is non-overlapping. So if suppose in some cases you have to submit your resume when you apply for PMP exam. So resume submit means you have to provide details of all the projects you are working on, or on the projects where you have work on the project management side, or you have work on the project management task. You have to provide details of the project. I will tell you what details. So if you at some point of time, if you are working on two projects, suppose from Jan to April you work on project 1, and from Feb to May or June you work on project 2. That does not mean this plus this. Okay, this will count it only once. So your actually experience is from here till here. Okay, this area and this area will not be counted 2 times, only 1 time. That is non-overlap, and which is pretty logical as such. Okay, and then it counts that, okay, from how many hours you have put into projects. Once you have completed 4,500 hours, you need not to report anymore. PMI objective is to just to see that you have minimum 4,500 hours of project management experience. Now this is normally, I have prepared an Excel sheet to document your experience. I will provide this sheet to you. Here it is that you have to provide these details of your projects, each and every project, till the time you have completed 4,500 hours. So these are general details about the project. Okay, here it is more important that you have to tell how many hours you have spent on this project in initiation, in planning, in execution, in controlling, and describe the project and project deliverables, especially what deliverables you produced. So brief description of the project, your activities, and the list of your deliverables. Here you have to define how many hours you spend on initiation, how many hours in planning. So on one project, suppose you spend 2 hours on initiation and about 40 hours or say 100 hours on planning. So you write here in the initiation 2 hours, and here it is 100 hours. And the project, all project details. This you need to document for all the projects until total hours become 4,500 or more. Okay, this is the simple process of
Vivek.
Yeah.
I remember reading some time back that like you can only report, it's pertaining to your earlier overlapping projects, you can only report 8 hours a day. If you did overtime, it's not counted. You can only report 8 hours a day.
There is nothing of that sort mentioned anywhere. So if you have worked for 12 hours a day in a project, nowhere it is written in any place. I haven't seen any place which they are saying you can report only 8 hours a day. Now on an average they think that 8 hours a day, normally people work 8 hours a day, and therefore they are talking about 3 years, 4,005 hours mapping to 3 years based on that. Now in some project you may be working more, so I don't see any reason you should not calculate them, because there is no denial anywhere. You can
Vivek, how do we get this? I mean, do we need to certify this details, like whatever we are talking about,
okay,
or is it just point of information to be mentioned?
Yeah, at the time of giving the application, you need not to prove anything. You just submit the application. So I will come to that. I will come to that. That when you have to produce and how to certify that this is what you have done. So this is the certification process. You apply. Okay, you have 90 days to complete the application. Once you start it, you can save intermediately, but within 90 days you please submit it. Otherwise it will be cancelled. Okay. Once you submit it, within 5 days they will approve, or your project or your application will come under audit. Okay. So if it is an audit process, they will tell you that your application is selected for the audit and you have 90 days to provide all the proofs to PMI. The PMI will send you a complete packet which contains all the forms, everything, and you need to fill up all these forms and get filled up by your people. So how do you prove your experience? PMI is again very lenient on that side. They say if you have a manager, get certified from your manager. If you don't have a manager, get anybody who was part of the project, means your peer on the project. You get it certified from your peer that, okay, I know this person was on this project and he did this. Okay, even if that is not available, you can find somebody in the organization who can vouch for you. Okay, I know that this person was on this project and he did ABCD. So if there is somebody you find who can write for you that, okay, yeah, I know that this person was there and he has done this, this is sufficient for PMI. But PMI prefers the manager does it. If manager is not there, your team members, your peers in the project will do it. If those are not there, then only you have to go outside. So that is how you have to provide evidence for what you have done, because many times you are talking about last 8 years and you have moved one organization to another organization to another, and you do not have like your manager anymore, or your manager has resigned and gone to somewhere else. So how do you get? So even you get the certification from your team members also. Okay, once your application is approved, either without audit or with audit, only 10% of the applications are normally picked up for audit. Okay, so your application can come, but chances normally are less. So out of 10 people, only 1 person come into this audit. There is no official declaration like that, but it is the understanding. Okay, now once your application is approved, you have a full 1 year to apply. Oh, sorry, give the exam. So how you give the exam? You have to, they will send you the Prometric centers on which this exam happens. You go on Prometric site, schedule your exam, go at that time, give the exam. The exam, once you certify, the cycle is of 3 years. Within 3 years, you have to earn 60 PDUs. If you earn, as soon as you earn 60 PDUs, PMI will present you an opportunity to renew it. Your renewal will happen from the date your first 3 year cycle is ending. Okay, whenever you do renew will happen from the date when the previous cycle is ending. Okay, if you are unable to renew your PDUs, or you do not get 60 PDUs, your certification will go under suspension for 1 year. So you have still 1 year period to accumulate all the PDUs and renew your certification. If you do not do so, your certification will expire. Okay, so if your application gets selected for audit, you have to prove your university degree, because that is the base of the thing. Project management experience, 35 hours of project management education. So at the end of this workshop, we will provide you a certificate. That certificate will help you in case they ask you to produce. PMI will normally give a complete guidance, and it is not so difficult to pass the audit. Normally people pass.
Vivek, by the time the audit happens,
right,
would we have paid the fees?
Paid? No, I think you have to pay the fee after. No, I'm not very clear right now. I think you have paid the fees already. But PMI will return your fees if you fail to pass the audit.
No. Thanks.
Okay, so there are some tips to prepare for exam. Yeah. Hello.
I think you no matter have to become a member and then apply for the exam. That would be the case, paying the fees or not. That section would be the.
I think as per this, you cannot schedule exam until you have submit the payment, and if your application is selected for audit, I'm not very sure, but I think you have paid the fee already.
Okay, you will be receiving an email asking to pay the fee if the application process is clear. And say if an audit
Right.
falls on your application, then after the audit process cleared, then you will be giving a the PMI will send a confirmation email to make the payment so that you will get the eligibility for sitting for the PMP examination.
Ah, right. Absolutely right. Correct.
You pay your dues and then you move along.
Right.
That makes sense.
Correct.
Absolutely. Thanks. Okay, so I'm going to talk about tips to prepare and pass the exam and then how to earn PDUs. And I think we are reaching to 9 o'clock and I do not want to take your more time on this because it will take at least 10 minutes at least more to explain you because this could be important that how to pass some tips for the exam. Okay, so we can continue this tomorrow. If you have any last minute questions, you can ask me. Okay, what is this? Having a MBA degree give you extra points? If a project management is a subject, only then. Yes.
Learning later on maintenance PDUs per year. Those PDUs could be in different variety of subjects, right?
No. Everything is related to project management. Your activities on the project management or related to the project management only counted for PDU or for earning PDUs.
So how do you know who gives those PDUs? What other channels that you?
I explained you all the details. I have this. Everything is mentioned in this. They are all the categories of PDUs and how to earn, where you can earn PDUs. I will explain it. What are the additional things PMI bring in PMBOK 5 compared to PMBOK 4? Stakeholder management is separated from communication management, become a new knowledge area. And some terminology changes here and there. Not much.
Vivek, I have one question that I wanted to ask you regarding the organization. You know, when the project-based organization, when it starts becoming kind of functional, the functional aspects start coming into the project-based organization, does it become a strong matrix or a weak matrix?
Definitely, when a projectized organization moving towards the functional, it will not move all of a sudden. It will go to strong matrix and then balanced matrix. And normally projectized organization do not go beyond balanced matrix. Most of the medium-sized organization stay with strong matrix.
Thank you.
Okay, so tomorrow we will continue this. I will also introduce you to the virtual learning center. We will send you your user ID passwords and show you how to access that. We'll go through the project integration management and complete this portion of this PMP exam portion details. Any other question? Okay, so thank you very much. If you get some question later, please bring it up tomorrow in the beginning. And thank you very much for being here and see you tomorrow once again.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.